Hello and welcome back to Sunrider Liberation Day Return. Shields barely had time to take cover behind some debris as two crewmen were cut down by bullets before his very eyes. Hunter drones? The hell? The arrival of the hunter drone triggered another memory. No, he couldn't afford to get distracted here. He'd received some instruction about invasion drones during his training, but he'd figured they saw limited practical applications, never encountered them on the field. Indeed, this was the first time he'd ever seen them deployed during ship-to-ship operations. Shit! This just makes my life that much more complicated. If I don't do something here, that drone's going to massacre everyone on this deck, but right now I'm totally unarmed. Shields looked round and saw a pistol lying beside the fallen crewman. It would take far more than that to take down a mechanized hunter drone, but it was something. Grab the pistol and fall back. I'm just double-checking. Yep, fall back. No matter how he considered this tactical scenario, a group of crewmen and a captain armed with nothing but pistols were no match for a mechanical hunter drone. They had to perform a tactical retreat. Shields shouted orders to the other crewmen. "Everyone, fall back! Find cover! That drone will tear you apart!" "Sir!" Shields and the repair crew quickly fell back, coming to an airlock gate. This should hold the drone back. Once everyone had run through the gate, Shields pounded the close button, dropping an 8-inch thick wall of steel behind themselves and the drone. Everyone dropped to their knees in relief. Shields took the opportunity to survey the situation. "Any of you have heavy weapons?" "No, sir. Fire control, crew C, reporting for duty. All we have is sidearms. Closest armor is 300 meters from here. Come on, let's go." Just as Shields spoke those words, an ear-shattering explosion shook the airlock, and the steel gate dented inwards as if it had just been pounded by a titan. The drone was still armed with an anti-armor cannon. This gate wasn't going to hold it forever. "Come on, everyone! Move, move, move!" The crewmen and Shields ran as fast as their feet would carry them away from the gate. By then it was too late. With another chest-bursting explosion, the reinforced steel gate burst behind them in a massive fireball. "Dackard, cover up!" Shields slammed a young repairman who looked fresh out of school against the wall, just as the drone sprayed the hall with lead. He looked around. Was this their end? If only they had a grenade or something. "Captain!" Suddenly, he saw Claude running down the hall with an enormous bazooka over her shoulder. "That's the way!" Shields peppered the drone with small arms fire, drawing its attention away from Claude, and Claude knelt down to one knee to stabilize the bazooka and took aim. "They don't call me boob rockets for nothing!" The rocket shot out from the front of the bazooka, and the recoil knocked Claude flat on her back, and she missed the drone spectacularly, digging a massive cavity in the ceiling of the hallway. Shields hissed through his teeth. "You idiot!" Oh. Just then, a massive steel beam fell from the ceiling thanks to the force of the rocket's explosion and pinned the drone down. Shields took the opening to roll to where Claude was lying on the floor and picked up the bazooka. He took aim and scored a direct hit on the drone's control tower. With a satisfying explosion, the drone's brain burst, spewing fire and steel in every direction. The husk of the now dead mechanical beast finally lost power and went limp. With an enormous exhale, Shields dropped the bazooka to his side. The other crewmen poked their heads out from cover in disbelief, and slowly their expressions turned from white terror to exhilaration. "Captain! You did it! You saved us all! Captain! Captain! Captain!" Shields suddenly realized that the crewman chanting his name in the hallway might not be to his best interest. "Anyways, what are you doing down here with Fire Control C?" He looked around, now searching for the best way to beat a hasty retreat. I have to get back to the bridge." "Good work, Fire Control C." "Did you hear that? The captain said we did good work." "Of course he did, kid. We risk our necks every day to keep the ship safe." "Ha ha! I'm going to tell everyone in the mess all about this." Shields and Claude beat it, while the crewmen laughed amongst themselves. He looked back. Despite blowing his cover, he smiled, in spite of himself. He had no regrets. T-minus 53 hours before the Liberation Day massacre, and 17 hours before she enters the mine stream. Ah! Shields had had enough of this nightmarish situation. He stood and emerged from the cargo crate, taking in a huge breath of fresh air. He'd just spent 6 hours cooped up inside a small cargo crate with Claude. The ship had shook and jostled as it engaged in evasive maneuvers and took hits, until he felt like he was going to suffocate against Claude's voluminous body. And for what seemed like an eternity, he suffered indignity after indignity. while Claude seemed to be thoroughly enjoying every moment of his suffering. Feeling thoroughly violated, he stepped out into the outside world, feeling like a man re-emerging into society after a long prison sentence. The ship had returned to condition yellow, and for now it appeared the battle had concluded. After checking the situation was clear, he pulled Claude from the crate. Come on, coast is clear. Let's sneak back to the hangar, meet up with Sola. The two of them wandered into the hangar, lurking under the shadows of the rider bays. They found Sola waiting for them, beside the Seraphim's maintenance bay. I have returned. Unfortunately, I have already bungled my first operation to put the Chief out of commission. During the battle, the Liberty sustained a hit to its shoulder maneuvering valve, putting it in an uncontrollable path towards a packed battleship. Well, such an incident appeared the perfect opportunity to thwart the prototype's plans, without rousing unwanted attention. The other Claude of this timeline managed to use the Bianca's gravity gun at the very last moment, to save the Liberty. No doubt the prototypes put the other Claude on board the ship, to ensure that Chikara remains alive, and can foster an intimate relationship with the other Kato shields. I spun my head to Claude. Is this true? Yes. The old me's on board the ship to ensure that Chikara gets as close as possible to the other Kato shields, so that the prototypes can figure out how to control him. Like I said, though, the whole part where Chikara guns down a room full of people was due to infighting within the prototype's own ranks. That was never a part of my mission at all. Alright, I understand. Don't worry, Sola. Besides, I don't want to do something as drastic as arrange Chikara's untimely death right now. Our mission's simply to capture and hold her for the remainder of the battle, so she can't enter the mind stream. We don't have to kill her. Very well. In that case, the situation from the battle presents an opportunity. I remember. After the battle, Chikara was admitted to sickbay with minor injuries. If we hurry, we could nab Chikara while she's still asleep in sickbay. Now, Sola's still right that we can't just remove Chikara from the battle and expect everything to turn out the same way. I explained to Sola my prior realization about the Trojan virus embedded in Fontana's ships. I see. Then removing Chikara from the battle will all but guarantee our early demise at the hands of the prototype's fleet. I've been giving it some thought. I could send an encrypted FTL message to Fontana, warning him about the virus. That way he can prepare a countermeasure right away to retain control of the ships. At the very least, he could pull back so the prototypes couldn't use his ships against us. To use the FTL comm, though, I'll need to sneak into my office, while the other Kato shield is occupied somewhere else. There is another matter. If we were simply to kidnap Chikara from the sickbay, it would only be a matter of time until someone notices her disappearance. Given the duration for which we must hold her, we must find another way to prevent anyone from realizing she has gone missing. Checking the guide, I think it's... Yep, we'll just have to take that risk. Very well. Okay, here's the plan. I'm going to the sickbay. I'll distract this timeline to Claude while Sola sneaks in and wheels Chikara's medical trolley away. You two will take Chikara to crew quarter 8, which is currently unoccupied, and wait until I arrive. I'll try to beat a hasty retreat as soon as I can. Once we've regrouped, Claude will use the floor access hatch to relocate Chikara to maintenance room D4, while Sola runs to the mess hall and calls the other Kato shields out on the comm. I'll then use that chance to sneak into my office and send Fontana the encrypted call. Very well. Then the two of us shall head to the sickbay, while Claude stands by at crew quarter 8 for my arrival. Alright, let's do this. Sola and Shields made their way to the sickbay. So I'm guessing there's a reason why you sent Claude away. Indeed, there is more to this situation than you are likely aware of. I have only an incomplete understanding of the complexities of time travel, but the thinkers of my time postulated that rewriting the course of history by travelling back in time was neither possible nor advisable. For when history is changed by any appreciable degree by outside agents not belonging to the timeline, the universe they occupy will simply collapse. What? Sola, that doesn't sound good. Indeed. Our current mission appears futile, as even if we are successful in thwarting the Liberation Day massacre, our efforts will be in vain, as this entire universe will simply cease to exist. But then for what purpose did Claude bring me here then? I do not know. But perhaps it would be best if we were to leave history unchanged. While the Liberation Day massacre certainly sounds like a horrific event, it simply does not compare in magnitude to the collapse of an entire universe. Sola, but... Shit, what the hell is Claude thinking then? Does she really have some ulterior motive for bringing me here? I did not mean to disturb you. I am sorry. No. Oh, thanks for bringing this up.
There is one more thing. What is it?
I have had a vision of another universe. Of course, leading me to speculate that there are an infinite number of other universes where the situation may be different, as it were. Sola, I have no idea what you're talking about. This is neither here nor there, but in the particular universe I glanced at, it appeared we were... Were? Nothing at all. Nope, we've all seen that universe. That's the universe that got me a content ID strike because apparently you're not allowed to put smut on YouTube. At some point I really must knock up a video where I complain about that fact, while linking you to a load of videos on YouTube that are way more smutty than the one I put up. Just because I can. Let's face it, you could find them with a 30-second search. But my translocation across two universes does appear to suggest that perhaps even if this universe collapses, we could translocate into another universe, leading to a number of different possibilities. I'm sorry, I'm not following this, Sola. Time travel really isn't my forte. We still don't know everything about time travelling. Let's keep on, see if we can discover what Claude's after here. Understood. Meanwhile, the other Kato Shield sat in his office trying to mind the battle plans for tomorrow's battle. However, his thoughts couldn't help but wander to Chikara, who was currently residing in the sickbay. Perhaps he should pay her a visit sometime before the battle. His doorbell rang. Come in. Captain, is something the matter, Ava? I've come to report a strange anomaly on board this ship. An anomaly? Of what sort? You're going to have a hard time believing this, but I heard rumours circulating amongst the crew that you were at Deck 2 during the previous battle, and that you single-handedly took down a drone and saved an entire damage control team. What? I've heard some crazy rumours, but that one's new. During the battle, we were indeed struck by an experimental packed weapon, which introduced a hunter drone within the ship. Security has examined the wreckage of the drone and confirmed that it was pact-made. I've summarised the incident in the latest report on your desk. Ava eyed the large stack of unread reports sitting beside him. Crap, haven't gotten to that one yet. Concerned by the rumours circulating amongst the crew and the findings of our security team, I took the liberty of examining the drone on security footage, and I found this. Ava handed him a holo containing a video, and his jaws dropped when he saw its contents. It was him, and Claude, or at least two people who looked identical to themselves, wandering around the ship. What in hell's name? Indeed, I was shocked beyond words as well when I discovered this revelation. It appears there are two intruders on board the ship who have impersonated you as well as our acting medical officer. Their purpose appears unclear. Shield stood from his chair, his heart now pounding. Could be a prototype plot. Apprehend these two intruders immediately. Put security on high alert. Review all security logs in search of these doppelgangers. I want our Marines put on armed patrols throughout the ship, but they are to capture the intruders alive. Sir! 52 hours and 16. Shields entered the sickbay. He had to distract this timeline's Claude long enough for his partner to nab Chikara out from under her nose.
He grimaced to discover that Chikara was sleeping.
Alright. He grimaced to discover that Chikara was sleeping, just 2 beds away from where Claude was working in her office. This was going to be harder than he'd expected. But he had an idea. He pretended to walk over to Chikara and stand over her, like he was concerned for her health. As expected, old Claude sniffed out his presence like a canine and crept up behind him. She wrapped her arms around him from behind and put her face on his shoulder, tickling his ear with her pink wavy hair. Oh, God, this woman wears too much perfume. Oh, Captain, I'm afraid Chikara's still sedated. You'll just have to wait a few more hours until she wakes up. I can understand why you would want her back on her feet as soon as possible. The desperate look on the maiden's face as she sneaks into your quarters at the loneliest hours of night for one last tryst before the final battle. Chikara doesn't know if she'll make it back. Just in case, I want to feel Captain inside before... Ooh, I can just imagine it playing out like I'm watching a movie. Okay, here's my chance. Shields slumped down as if dejected and let out a long sigh. I just don't know, Doctor. Don't know what? Well, I'm actually here for counselling. Look, you're the ship's acting medical officer, right? Your duties include looking after the mental health of the crew, as well as their physical health. Well, yes, that's certainly true. I've been wanting to talk to you, Doctor. It's about Chikara, but look, I can't talk about it here in front of her. Oh, of course. Let me just go to my office and pull the cover closed. You could tell old Claude anything, Captain. Claude practically pushed Shields into her office and drew a sliding wall closed, giving both of them some privacy. Yes, it worked. Now, what's the nature of the counselling you need, Captain? Well, it's just that things are moving so quickly. It's been barely a week since we kissed for the first time, and she's already talking about marriage and children. And whenever she talks about how many babies she wants to have, I wonder is that really the life I want for myself? I mean, I'm ashamed to even look at myself in the mirror, Doctor. I can't believe I'm having these doubts right now. Oh, Captain, don't you worry about a thing. It's completely normal to have unexpressed doubts when your partner advances a relationship too quickly. In fact, it's only inevitable, because of the enormous amount of stress you two are under right now. And all she cares about is a bakery. I don't even know if I'm any good at baking bread. I'm a starship captain, for crying out loud, Doc. I worked my ass off for this commission, but to just up and retire early for a bakery? But whenever she talks about that Freddy bakery, she has that dreamy look in her face, and I end up going along with it every time. Where's my input, Doc? Lately I feel like I'm being railroaded down a certain path without any saying what I want. It's like all my choices have up and vanished. Before this, I used to be a free man. I used to be able to make command decisions. I used to be able to rip up rule books. Right now, I feel like I've been chained to the doghouse. Oh dear, oh dear. After the battle, why don't you try talking to her about this, Captain? The root cause of your problems with Chikara is most likely the stress of the coming battle. Because you're both instinctively afraid of what may happen, Chikara may be rushing things ahead of what she may normally be comfortable with as well. Alright, Doc, I'll try that. Claude leaned in with a gentle smile and rubbed Shields' back. You have a lot on your shoulders, Captain. But don't forget, if things don't work out with Chikara, there's always a lovely doctor in your sickbay willing to alleviate your worries. Casually hitting on your mentally distressed patient, Doc. You are absolutely the worst. Anyways, that should have been enough time for the distraction. I'd better beat a hasty exit out of here. Just as Shields was about to call it quits, he spotted a strange-looking holo next to him on Claude's shelf. All of the holos on board the ship were now standard issue Alliance stock, but this one was clearly of a different make. Now, what do we have here? For some reason, I have this feeling that there's something important on that holo. Maybe it's related to the memories I've lost. But do I risk blowing my cover to try and steal it? Checks the guide. Yes, nick the holo. That holo could contain something vital to restoring the rest of my memories. I've got to get my hands on it. Shields suddenly leant it forward and buried his head in her bosom. Alright, Doctor. Thanks for the chat. I feel a lot better now. God, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Oh, Captain! Claude smiled ear to ear as she took the opening to stroke his hair. Her attention was thoroughly diverted as Shields reached backwards with one hand and swiped her holo off the desk. He hid the holo behind himself as he stood. I should head back to work. I'll see you around. Anytime, Captain. Let me open the cover. No need. Looks like you have a lot of work to do in your office. Shields opened the sliding door himself and left Claude in her office, closing the door behind him. And as he walked out, he confirmed that their operation was a success. He marched out of the sickbay, a mischievous grin plastered all over his face. And as he walked to Crew Quarters 8, Shields activated the holo and searched through its contents. Now, let's see what our past doctor has been up to. From what he could deduce, there were hundreds of message logs hidden in the holo, containing Claude's reports on what was occurring on board the Sunrider ever since she first came aboard, as well as detailed instructions for on the prototypes, and a medical report, proving beyond the shadow of a doubt that Chikara was indeed a prototype. This must be the holo that old Claude used to communicate with the prototypes back when she was still aligned with them. Damn, I can't believe she managed to keep this hidden for so long. But seeing how she claims she stopped working with the prototypes following the Liberation Day massacre, this holo doesn't tell me anything new. He searched through the remaining data inside the holo, and finally came upon an encrypted file which contained only a cryptic message. The future can only be saved by destroying everything. Well, that sure sounds ominous. And it's in line with what Sola's already told me. I think it's high time I finally confronted Claude about the real reason why she brought me to the past. And with that, he quickened his pace to Crew Quarter 8. Shields knocked on the ostensibly unoccupied crew quarters while the coast was clear, and tapped the intercom and whispered, "It's me, open up." The door opened and Shields slipped inside. "You're back! As you can see, the plan went exactly as planned." He saw Chikara tied to a chair, still unconscious from sedation. "We were waiting for you, Captain. Come on, let's move on to the Phase 2 and relay that warning to Fontana." Wait. There's something we need to resolve before that." He pulled out the holo. "I found this in your old self's office." "Oh, that's just my old holo. I used it to communicate with the prototypes while I was working with them." "Oh, Captain, I hope you're not still suspicious of poor Claude." "That's actually not what I'm worried about this time. It's this." Shields opened the final file and showed it to Claude. "The future can only be saved by destroying everything." Actually, Sola has already had a basic idea of how time travel works, and according to her, changing the future isn't possible. So what does that mean for us? Well, it looks like you've finally discovered the hard part of this mission. Look, it's pretty complicated to explain, but the skinny of it is basically, if we were to succeed in this mission and thwart the Liberation Day massacre, both this universe and the past universe where we come from will collapse and cease to exist. As it turns out, the space-time continuum's really sensitive to time paradoxes, and it resolves them quite forcefully. Collapse? You mean we'll die anyway, even if we... What's the point of this? Oh, you're thinking like a human. No, you will simply be wiped from existence. Dying is a natural phenomenon which must inevitably happen to all life forms, but this is an entirely different concept from never existing at all. You travelled here from a future in which the Liberation Day massacre occurred in order to prevent it. But if you succeed in your mission, the Kato shields who travelled back in time to cease would exist. Would cease to exist. Would cease to... God knows what I said the first time. As the massacre now never takes place, so then, who would be the man who stopped the massacre? A true logical conundrum. In other words, a time paradox. So, then the future is impossible to change. The future can be changed, and that's why I brought you here. At the end of this journey, you must make a choice. Either you stop the Liberation Day massacre from occurring and avert the tragedy which befalls everyone, and destroys this universe and, well, the universe you came from, and replace them with the new universe you create with your decision. Or you let the massacre occur, accept the tragedy, and this universe will remain untouched and connect with your timeline, and the universe you know will continue to exist, for better or worse. So, right, you're telling me, if I go through with this, everyone I know will vanish from the face of the universe, but then a new universe with copies of those same people will be created. That's the gist of it, yes, and that's the reason I brought you here. The key here is that the law of causality does everything in its power to resolve time paradoxes, and it does that by deleting the universe where the paradox occurs and creating a new universe which can then logically continue to exist from that point on. In this case, you and everyone in this universe, as well as everyone in the universe where the massacre occurred, would be wiped from existence, thus eliminating the time paradox. But then a new universe where the massacre never occurred would be born, and everyone would still exist in that universe, completely oblivious to the fact a massacre ever occurred, or that there was a desperate mission to prevent it. Then okay, so we can still save everyone by creating a new universe where the massacre isn't prevented, but simply never existed at all. Ah, now you're understanding how this all works, Captain. I am beginning to understand the nature of time travel. If a time paradox occurs, the unbinding law of causality simply destroys the universe where the paradox occurs, and creates a new one without the paradox. A simple solution to dealing with a logical impossibility. Basically, in this circumstance, I intentionally sought to create a time paradox in order to manipulate the law of causality into destroying the universe you don't want, and into creating one you do want. Well, it was pretty drastic, but it's not like there's anyone there who can stop me, so... It's pretty convenient, this little quirk of the law of causality has. I've been using it to create and destroy universes for... Oh, I forgot I'm immortal. Who knows how long I've been doing this? Anyways, now that your choices have been laid out in front of you, I want you to what you choose, Kato Shields. Hero of the galaxy. That's the entire reason I brought you here. All of this is so I can watch you more. I want to watch you run around, fighting desperately against impossible odds. I want to see the tears in your eyes when you fail, the euphoria coursing through your veins when you're victorious. The bigger the stakes, the more tortured your dilemmas, the mightier your enemies, the more I want to see you fight. Because it brings me so much pleasure seeing you in action. Claude's entire body flushed bright red as she squirmed her legs. Oh, I think I might have come a little. Claude, you bastard! She's toying with me just like always. Come to think of it, was there ever a moment where she wasn't playing me like a fiddle during the whole time I've known her? Ugh. We're in too deep now. Good call, Captain. I knew I could count on you. It's not so bad. You have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to change the future. Isn't Claude such a generous god? Oh, before you get excited with the knowledge that you have a deity on your side, you should now understand why I can't use my powers willy-nilly. It'd be a pain if I were to accidentally wipe out a universe or two from existence by causing an unintended time paradox myself. Every use of my power must be carefully planned in advance so that they bring about consequences I want. The results otherwise, well, it would not be pretty.
So basically I can't count on her to pull me out of the fire using her powers anymore.
Alright. Nothing productive is going to come out of fighting amongst each other. Whatever it is we're going to do now, we have to work together to accomplish it. As if to make matters worse, Chikara had begun to stir in her sleep. Shields inhaled sharply in concern. Shit! Doc, how much longer is Chikara going to stay sedated? Oh, still another 4 hours. With a full dosage, Chikara's going to be sound asleep for a full 8 hours. Suddenly Claude froze. Never mind. Doctor, what do you mean, never mind? I forgot that in this timeline I gave Chikara a half dose of sleep pills so that she would wake up early enough to consummate her love for the captain the night before the final battle. Shields nearly collapsed at Claude's mistake. What do you mean you forgot? I thought you were supposed to be a god! Well, when you've lived for as long as I have, there's so much to remember. How could I be expected to recall such a tiny detail as that? Then how much longer do we actually have until Chikara wakes up? Maybe until about now. Ugh. As if on cue, Chikara sleepily opened her eyes. Oh, Capt? Huh? What's going on, Captain? Why am I tied up to this chair? And the doctor? And Sola? Chikara's eyes darted around the room while she struggled against the ropes in panic. Shit! Okay, for now we've got to calm Chikara down. Chikara, don't worry, I'm here. I'll protect you. All of a sudden, Shields felt at a loss. His usual collected demeanour fell apart. Random words leaked from his mouth as he spoke to Chikara in a daze. Chikara. He had felt her die in his arms. When her spark left her body, a demon had awakened in him. A demon willing to burn the galaxy to avenge her. Despite being a spy, despite betraying him, despite murdering countless Alliance leaders, Shields had loved her with his entire heart. And that's exactly how the Shields in this universe feels about her. Chikara, calm down and listen to me. Huh? Shields knelt down in front of her. Despite waking up tied to a chair, the sight of her lover's face managed to calm her fears.
What is it, Captain? I have to admit, this is
quite a strange way of waking up after a doctor's visit. Not a visit to Claude. I'm surprised more of Claude's patients don't wake up tied to things. Yes, I am implying what you think I'm implying. But you wouldn't do anything bad to Chikara, would you? I trust you. I'm about to tell you something important, but look, no matter what happens, I'll protect you. Because this time I'm going to save everyone, including you, Chikara. Alright, here I go. The truth is, you're... Shields could never finish his sentence, as at exactly that moment the gate to the crew quarters exploded to smithereens, momentarily blinding everyone inside. In a flash, Marines piled into the room, and by the time Shields had recovered his vision, he was completely surrounded by a squad of armed troops pointing their rifles at him. Shit! Yo, I think that's an excellent point to end this part, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next.